What's all that about classic bits with Cohen and Kelso? Classic bits.
Hello, dear listener. Here's some bits from the old, now deleted podcast episodes from before I came along and made it better.
Cohen. Public bathrooms. What's all that about?
An excellent question, Kelso. I mean, maybe I've talked about this in a previous podcast, but I like to think that if there's been at least this is my 5 podcast rule. If there's been 5 podcasts, I think it's okay to talk about it again. And I think there's probably...
Does that mean 15. You want to sing Jenny?
No, I wouldn't mind. But it's a great, absolute banger of a tune.
Oh, dear listener, I'm sure.
well, it would mean another copyright strike. Another one.
I'm still not clear. Do we think it's good if we get copyright strikes on YouTube? That's what we're talking about, dear listener. Or is that a signature that you're know your stuff?
Yeah, I think it's because dear listeners should know that when we put our podcasts up on YouTube, we're talking about YouTube copyright strikes. Because if you didn't know, dear listener, we put our podcasts up on YouTube for your listening pleasure. And they must have a very good bot that identifies these things, but we don't monetize it, so we don't care, do we?
It's almost a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. What it does say is that my delivery of certain songs are identifiable by YouTube's bot. So, I take that as a little bit of a compliment.
Now, of course, dear listener, that is why we had to change the name of the segment from Cover from Another Mother to The Showstopper, because we're getting too many copyright strikes. Now, obviously, if Kerwin really was doing a cover from another mother, there'd be no such thing.
That's right, yeah.
And really confuse the bot. Or the bot's really good, as you just said.
Yeah, and Craig Charles, that's who I get the copyright strike from, because that's who I stole Cover from Another Mother from. But we changed it. But
luckily, his people have not been in contact.
No, they haven't. But yes, let's.
I imagine if the Craig Charles people did get in contact, we could probably buy him off with a couple of curries and a carton of lager.
A few tins of lager, yeah, absolutely. With a Vindaloo. But yes, actually, speaking of Vindaloo, public toilets.
Now, I will step in here and say, of course, to our Australian listeners, we, of course, would refer to them as just the toilets.
The toilets, yeah.
I think we started with public bathrooms, but we're trying to be international here.
Mm. But the word toilet, I guess, is international. I guess it's not polite to say toilet in some places, but...
Yeah, I don't know what the reasoning is there, but yes, definitely in America they say bathroom.
I think toilets hit the ear too hard over there, I guess.
A little bit like undies.
Yeah, they don't like that. Yeah.
They don't like undies.
We're a bit more abrupt, I guess, in our speech here in the good old land of Oz. But let me just say that I have a love-hate relationship with public toilets. And I'll explain it very briefly by saying I love that they're there because you need them. You know, you will need them. But I hate going into them and doing... I'll do a number 1 anywhere. Doesn't even have to be a toilet. But number 2s is a different story. I need a certain level of privacy. And yeah. What about you? How do you? Are you a number 2 goer in public toilets? Readily.
Actually, my body has taken the decisions away from me, so it won't even consider it. It just clams up.
Oh, I was going to say that. I was going the other way. Like your body was telling you, "We're doing this," and you have no
doing it now.
Yeah.
Well,
your body
occasionally my body does enforce some decisions on me. I remember once cycling through the south of London, south of England, I should say, and I made the mistake of I wanted to get started. I was staying at a bed and breakfast. I was on a 2 or 3 day cycle tour, and I was staying at a bed and breakfast, and I wanted to get cracking as soon as possible because during the autumn you've got restricted sunlight hours, so you can only cycle for a certain amount of the day, and I need to cycle, say 60 miles to where I was my next night was. So my bed and breakfast, they wouldn't give me the breakfast until like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And I wanted say 7, I could get out by 8. So I decided to pack up all my stuff in my cycling kit, bike ready to go, have my breakfast and jump on the bicycle. Executed the plan flawlessly. What did I forget? That my body normally likes to have a morning visit to the number twos, you know what I'm saying?
Well, like
So,
any good
long
man.
story short, I found myself doing a shit behind a windmill. Not a public toilet.
Right.
But,
no. I mean,
So,
was
but otherwise, if I'm out in public and whatnot, my body just decides, well, that's not going to happen. So I guess I'm lucky and unlucky there.
so you were thinking, oh my god, I hope there's a windmill coming up because I really need to go.
If I don't see 4 big sails in the distance, I'm in big trouble.
Was the windmill well appointed? Was it comfortable for you? Take me through the windmill, Kelso.
Well, the toilet paper was a disgrace.
Right. What? Well, was it? What did you use? A tulip?
Tulips, plural. Daisy chain. Stop. One daisy's not going to cut it. I'm going to have to make this. You know how difficult it is to make a daisy chain when you're busting? Or you've already gone and, you can't move too much. Otherwise, well, you know what happens, dear listener.
Well, look, I've only ever done one number 2 in public. And when I say public, I mean I was on a bushwalk. You know. In fact, I was on a 100-kilometre charity hike, I should say. And I did actually have in my backpack a shovel I bought from a camping supplies store that was specifically designed to dig a hole to poo in.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was I think it was called a toilet trowel or something like that. I think it was the fun name it had, sort of making light of the situation.
Toilet trail TM.
Yeah, so it would have been 80 Ks into this hike, which did have checkpoints that had toilets, but I was caught short at one point, and it was pretty bad. Look, dear listener, the first inch was cold. It was urgent. So I was wearing at the time like compression pants. You know what they are.
I know what you're going to say. They're hard to get out of the way.
They're hard to get out of the way. So not only was I dealing with some unfirm ground and maybe not the best hole I've ever dug in my life, it was only very small. We're talking about the kind of it was basically a tiny little the kind of thing you get for yeah. Well, the implement itself was was something you use for gardening. It was a very small shovel, tiny.
Well, hence it was called a trowel.
A trowel, exactly, right. So we're talking, it was kind of the size of something that a golf ball would be hit into was the hole that I managed to dig. And with my, compression pants around my knees, and with one hand holding myself, it was really kind of hard to drop the cargo into this very, small. It was like, trying to one of those, those parachutists, they land on the target. It was like that.
Reminds me of some of the challenges faced by the dam busters.
Exactly, that's who I was. I was basically one of the dam busters. Yes.
One door's open.
So that wasn't great, and the worst thing was, because I was wearing hiking gloves, because I had hiking poles and everything, so I had my gloves on. Anyway, long story short, I got a bit of shit on my glove.
Oh.
And I couldn't get it off, and I was in the team for this hike, and for pretty much it kept our spirits up for the next 10 kilometers. We're all laughing about my shitty glove.
Oh, hang on. You're the type of man who would hide a shitty glove from most people. How did this come out? I can't imagine it.
Well, okay, so on my team wasn't strangers. It was my brother. And, yes, so I actually thought, normally, you're right, normally I would be very embarrassed. Normally I would have just chucked that glove. I would have been like Michael Jackson with one glove for the rest of the hike. But I thought, who's going to love this story? My brother.
And dear listener. Now, I thought you might have revealed yourself after a couple of high fives later down the trial and going, hang on a second.
Look, nobody wanted...
my high five Kerwin.
Look, put it this way, no one wanted any of my trail mix at some of the rest stops, which is fair enough. Yeah.
Quite advantage.
Yeah, so that was the one time Yeah, but like getting back to public toilets themselves, like for me, because I'm one of those. Apparently, it's a condition. It's I think it's called something like toilet shyness or something like that. It's an actual thing that you can't go if you don't feel as if you've got a significant level of or the adequate level of privacy. And I have gone to a public toilet that I thought was just me in there, and I've got relaxed and I'm ready to go. And then I hear the door open, and then I'll just stop. I'll pull up my trousers and leave because I'm just like, no, can't do it. No, I need. Because the thing is, I know that the Japanese have solved this problem. Apparently, in public toilets in Japan, they play loud music or music that's loud enough to hide the pops and squeaks and splashes.
Right.
Because that's what I'm most worried about.
Pops and squeaks.
Pops, squeaks, and splashes. Yeah. Yeah. So they play loud music, but here in merry old Australia, it's dead silence. You know what I mean? And it's like any bathroom, it's full reverberation. So any pop and squeak has a real presence to it. You know. And, you know,
I understand some of the best acoustic designers are at work in public toilets in Australia.
Exactly. The people that designed the Sydney Opera House pretty much went on to toilet design, I'm pretty sure.
Was that a squeak? Oh, it definitely was.
Like the slightest little, like, it's like someone put a microphone on it, you know, in there.
But it is the third and the golden age.
Yeah.
Now, I've just actually sneakily Googled it up behind, seeing if I could get away without a keyboard mash.
I didn't even hear a keyboard mash. You must have been some very deft finger
Shy
work.
bladder. It's called a shy bladder, also known as paruresis. Paruresis.
So it actually has a scientific name as well.
Yes.
Shy bladder. I like that.
Yep.
Okay.
If I clicked on this link, I could find out symptoms, tricks, and treatments, but I won't. Because I also suffer from shy bladder.
Well, actually, I should qualify this. I don't. Maybe this should be more. We should make this more specific. I don't have shy bladder. I will pee anywhere, like sometimes really inappropriately. But I think I have what's known as shy bowel.
Oh no, I've got shy bladder. That is, I can't. If I'm in a loo, I can't pee at the public urinal unless I'm the only one there.
Yeah, well, I don't mind the urinal as long as no one talks to me. Actually, like a couple of nights ago, I was at the urinal, you know, the trough, the one where everyone just lines up, you know. And I'm just weeing, and a guy sort of comes next to me, and I'm mid-flow, right? And the guy kind of like half turns to me and goes, "Having a good one?"
Having a big night. That's what they used to say.
Having a big night. And we're like, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Are we having a conversation while I'm urinating? Cool. Yeah. So I do like sometimes you know it's beggars can't be choosers when it comes to public toilets, but I do prefer those ones that are more like the individual. You know, that looks like a toilet bowl like bolted to a wall. You know the ones I mean?
All right. Yeah. Not a trough.
Not a trough. And sometimes they have a little like mini wall divider in between them. That's luxury pissing. That's luxury pissing. You know, but you can't get that everywhere, you know.
You cannot. Now, I don't have a shy bowel unless I know the other person who, and I don't want them to hear. So like a girlfriend or a roommate. But if I'm in public, no worries, I can let loose.
Right. Well, I get worried like when you're doing the public wee at the trough with all the guys, you know. I am always worried that my pee isn't going for long enough. You know what I mean? Have you ever had that?
And people are noticing.
Where you've got there, right, and there's already some guy peeing, and then you've finished and he's still going. You know, it's like, I feel a bit embarrassed, but I feel a bit inadequate by that. You know, like my bladder's not good enough. You know, like ladies will notice that and go, yeah, he's cute and that, but his bladder's shit, you know.
Well, I have a similarly embarrassing situation because of my shy bladder, right? So in a club or something, I really need to get a stall, so I can shut the door, and then I'm much better, right? 9 times out of 10, success. But if I have to go to the public urinal and other people are there, then I've got very low hit rate, shall we say. And of course, sometimes you're busting, and even when I'm busting, I'll be like, and I have to use the public urinal, so then I'll step up between two guys, get the old tonker out, but then can't go. How embarrassing is that? I have to withdraw without doing nothing. Forget
Really?
about a short pee.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see, I've never done that. Where if look, I'll pee my pants before I stand in between two guys at a trough. Like, I'm not doing that. That's a tough move. Well, that or really drunk. I can't. Yeah, I just feel like there's a level of privacy I need. And yeah, I'll look, if there's a stall open just for a wee in public, that's, for me, that's like a, luxury hotel room as far as I'm concerned when it comes to
That's the penthouse.
It is, yeah, the penthouse suite for sure. But here's a little story. Like, my dad took my 5-year-old nephew to the toilet the other day, and my nephew he's only got a mum. There's no dad, so he's been raised by a mother, And when he needs to go to the toilet, because he's only a little boy, she'll take him into the female toilet, and of course there's only regular toilets in there. So my dad took my little nephew to the toilet to do a wee.
Right.
And in this particular toilet was those toilets that we were talking about before, those luxury urinals that are basically, the porcelain bowl bolted to the wall. And my dad pointed to the thing, do your business. Anyway, so, my little nephew, not ever really knowing or seeing a men's trough before, did a turd in the in the urinal.
Did it one foul swift motion?
He just jumped up into the, trousers down, butt first, into the urinal.
How quickly did he do this? Or was your father in such shock he couldn't stop it from happening?
Well, my dad wasn't spectating, apparently. He just sort of pointed to where you go and then just sort of, I guess, turned his back or,
whistled, put his head
just read the newspaper or something, actually. But, and then he walked over and looked over, apparently, to see him sitting in the, and he left a little deposit in there, which I
hope your dad got out a business card and chopped it up so it would go down the drain.
I think my dad left a note. An apology for the cleaners. Sorry, he's 5 years old, never seen a trough before.
Please excuse this incident relating to a juvenile training incident.
I would have thought cleaners of a toilet have seen a lot worse.
Oh, how was your day, love? Not too bad. I only had to deal with a 5-year-old turd.
Well, the thing is, I would imagine that a 5-year-old kid who has a good diet, it would have been small and pencil thin, so pretty easy cleanup. Probably firm as well, I'd imagine. Like I said, compared to what a lot of toilet cleaners probably would see, you've probably just been glad that it was actually just, you could just easily just pull it out of there with a set of tongs, no worries, no harm, no foul. But look,
I've got the specialist tongs, of course.
Exactly, proper poo tongs.
Tongs.
You can get them online. So, look, I'll tell you what my least favorite public toilets are in all of the world. And maybe, I'm sure there might be some dear listeners who may not be able to relate to this. But Kelsey and I grew up in the tropics. Most of Australians live on the coastline. And I can tell you that the worst public toilets in the world are the public toilets at the beach. They're the worst.
Yep.
They're the worst appointed, and they're the most abused, I think.
I think some of them have never been pointed.
Exactly. Well, everything's stainless steel, so there's, a plastic toilet lid, forget about it. We're talking prison facilities at beaches now. And the toilet paper they have there now, I've been watching toilet paper at the beach over the last 20 years get thinner and thinner. It is.
I'm imagining a montage.
Well, I went to the beach the other day with my much younger girlfriend, and it has that, that giant, toilet roll. You know the one? It's in a metal case.
I know the one.
So you can't steal it. because people steal toilet paper. And it's not perforated, so it's just, best of luck. And it was so thin that I had to pull it really, really slowly, because it would just rip, It was.
I think it's designed to do that, isn't it?
Well, but then I thought about using it, so I realized I was going to have to make my own 3-ply, at least. 3-ply.
3 feet ply.
Because it was so thin, honestly. It was see-through, basically. So yeah, it was that, yeah, my girlfriend said, what was taking so long in there? I'm like, okay, first of all, that's a bit personal. But really, I was literally pulling it it was like disarming a bomb, trying to get this toilet paper out without ripping it,
You should have said, excuse me, but I had to study some pretty intricate origami arts on YouTube before I could wipe my ass.
Do you know what you don't see anymore, as much as you did when we were a kid, is toilet graffiti.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I was
there.
a kid? Well, I mean, not, it's there, but it's not as cool as it was. These days it's like, graffiti tags and, remember when they used to write fun stuff? I think we would have to go way, way back in our podcast for you. But I think you can retell my favorite piece of toilet graffiti, and it's something that you told me. Let's hear it again.
Oh, in the university toilets, someone had scrawled,
Yeah.
see a rock, pick it up, shove it down the eye of your cock. Now, very succinct, very insightful, and perhaps informative.
Yeah.
But what pushed it into the Hall of Fame was someone had come along later and, okay, now what? Question mark.
Which I love. It kind of still rhymed. It was like the fourth line of that. That
They'll do it together.
Yeah.
See a rock, pick it up, shove it down the eye of your cock. Okay, now what? Maybe need one or two more syllables.
Yeah, okay, now you just hit on another thing that you just don't see. I mean, it's one thing to have graffiti. If you even see it, I don't know, maybe I live in a town where they're all over that now. But yeah, you don't get the right of reply anymore.
You know what's happened? All that public, the graffiti in public toilets, public bathrooms, it's all obviously moved somewhere, hasn't it? Twitter.
Exactly, yeah. Well, the thing is, I would say the first 10 images of a vagina I ever saw was written on a toilet wall.
Well, let's not say not images, depictions.
Depictions, yeah. Well, I mean, they obviously drawn by someone who didn't have a lot of vagina experience.
But could draw a triangle.
Yeah, exactly. I just think maybe it was, it was the kind of person that would graffiti a toilet door you'd imagine wouldn't have seen very many vaginas.
Now, I will say that none of those images were particularly enticing or attractive, so perhaps they were being put up by church groups to put people off sex.
I always found that they always look like a fountain pen nib. That's what they look like to me. It's like a triangle with a cut in one of the points. That was what it looked like to me. It's like, yeah.
I thought that is what they look like.
No, it's like a tropical flower. Beautiful tropical flower. I mean, it depends on, obviously. We're all different. Yeah.
Now, what I find embarrassing in public toilets is, you go into one of those public toilets, and it might also be like in the movie theatre or something, but they've got the water, the soap, and the hand dryer integrated into the wall or the cabinet.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Right, but it's not immediately clear, despite the markings, where to put your hands. And I can find it very embarrassing to not be able to operate the controls. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes I have to, do a bit of miming.
Oh, you mean like the sort of like movement sensor things?
Exactly.
To get the soap and the water to go. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a little bit of Marcel Marceau happening there at the basin. Yeah.
And, if it's a busy place, you don't want to, muck around. People are waiting. So, sometimes some miming or just get in and saying, well, I'll just blow dry my hands, I guess. I'll be fine. Or the worst thing is if only the soap dispenser works.
Oh, yeah. If you're lucky to have soap.
Soap.
Yeah, well, there's maybe it's a water-saving measure, or maybe an idiot measure. Some people just leave the faucet running and walk off. A lot of toilets here where I live now have a thing where you've got to hold down a button for the water to come out, and they forget that you do need both hands.
Right.
You know, so you sort of have to put a little bit of soap in your palm, and then with one hand do like a one-hand wash, you know, which is really difficult. It's like a one-hand clap, not easy. And then do it for the other hand, and the whole experience is really unsatisfying. And this is another thing I want to bring up. So we've dealt with troughs, or we've dealt with toilet cubicles, soap dispensers and basins. Let's talk about the hand dryers.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know if maybe this is just where I live in a fairly first world country, but there's a thing called the Dyson Airblade.
Yep.
Okay, so this is like a hand dryer that like actually dries your hand in 2 seconds. If you don't know what it is, it's like a little thing. You just stick your open palms down, and there's sort of like, what would you call it, a sheet of air from both sides just blasts the water off your hands, and it's bone dry within seconds, you know. It's fantastic.
Yeah, there was some sort of hand dryer revolution 7 years ago or 8 years ago, wasn't there? All of a sudden, it was almost like smartphones. Or no one had a smartphone, then all of a sudden everything had touch screens, and everyone had a smartphone. It's the same thing. Maybe I'm getting older, I don't notice time passing, but the same thing happened with hand dryers.
It did. So like before that, it was like, you know, one of those sort of things, you know, a big rectangular white thing on a wall. You'd hit that big silver button, and a blast of like hot air would come out. It was like your sister's hairdryer, basically.
You could turn the vent upside down and totally Seeking Susan Madonna it.
Oh, great reference. Get into the groove, boy. Oh my God, that was a Kelso. That was one of your best. Maybe just for me, that one, dear listener. That is a fantastic reference. But yes, you could do that. But the thing is, sometimes those things wouldn't blow hot air. Maybe the heating element had broken.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it was, and sometimes they would say on it, you know, how to use it, right? So you hit the button and it says, you know, wring your hands together in a, you know, hand washing motion for 30 seconds, you know, which is by today's standards way too long. But the thing about the Airblade now, if I go into a toilet and it's not a Dyson Airblade, I just wipe my hands on my jeans.
It does feel like you're going back in time if you see an old one. But I can't remember the last time I've seen an old one.
Oh, they're around. I don't know, maybe in London.
I live in London.
Yeah,
so.
Everything's Airblade now. Well, isn't that the home of the Airblade? Isn't Dyson, he's British, I'm pretty sure. Like, he revolutionized the vacuum cleaner and the oscillating fan. Well, he did the fan. He redid the fan. Reimagined the fan. Have you seen the Dyson fan? It's ridiculous. It's amazing. I mean...
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, maybe fans aren't a big thing over there, but here, obviously, fans are a big deal. And the Dyson fan, it's like this ring that just, you know, it's brilliant. I mean, this guy, he's an absolute genius. I mean, everyone talks about Stephen Hawking, but give the vacuum cleaner guy a medal.
Nod.
Yeah. But yeah, like the hand drying technology is just, I mean, you do occasionally get a couple of like cheap knockoffs of the Dyson Airblade that kind of do half the job, and it's still, you know, still have to wipe your hands on your jeans.
I just can't work out why it took so long for someone to say, let's fucking supersize the hand dryer. Supersize it. Come on.
I just reckon Mr. Dyson was sick of wiping his hands on his jeans.
Or Mrs. Dyson was certainly getting fed up with him doing that.
Exactly.
What have you done to these bloody jeans again, John?
Your jeans smell like piss. I like how we've called him John Dyson, but I think we're thinking of 80s Australian cricketer John Dyson. We just assumed his name was John Dyson.
Why not?
It's a pretty good assumption. Should we Google shit? Let's find out what his name is. Let's just Google some shit. Hold on, I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it.
Dyson.
Bob.
Dyson inventor.
Derek.
Let's see. Oh, we were close. It's James Dyson.
James Dyson.
So we weren't too bad. I love how when I put in James Dyson, people also search for Richard Branson.
He's managed to claw his way up into that echelon.
He's in there.
You think who's more pissed off, Dyson or Branson are being bracketed together?
I reckon it's
Branson.
Alan Sugar's the most pissed off because he's well down the list.
There's a pecking order. Now, the question is, once you've cleaned and dried your hands, how do you open the door when you have to exit the lavatory, the public toilet?
Yeah, no, I have become very germophobe. So, yeah, like on the way out, normally it's a push on the way out. Actually, no.
What if it's not? What if it's a pull?
I'm sorry, I'm mistaken. Normally it's a push on the way in, isn't it?
Should be the other way around, shouldn't it?
Well, what I do is I'll open it with my thumb, but like where my thumb meets the rest of my hand.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I feel that's probably the safest place to get toilet door germs is there, because I'm not licking that. You know, because that's the thing. I'll go back to my gravy and chips. You know, I feel like I can.
What I do is I look at the door handle and I try to work out where's the least spot that someone would open the door with, and then I use the tip of my finger to like kind of open it there. If that makes sense.
It does. But then I think everyone's probably doing that because they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
And the rest of the door handle's pristine.
Yeah, so then I think maybe I'll just grab it flush right at the middle where no one's touching it. Yeah.
No, the people who don't wash their hands, they don't care. Obviously, they're just grabbing it. Front and center.
Don't you hate those people? You know, like the guys that come out and they wash their hands and you wash your hands and they don't. They just walk straight past the basins. And it's like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not his friend. You know, because you know what's going to happen. You know, like you're, you know, he's probably going to go for a round of drinks and then, you know, hand it to you, right? Where he puts his fingers on the lip of the glass.
Oh, you know. He's a lipper.
Yeah, like, and you're like, why is there a pube on my beer glass? Oh no, that's disgusting. I'm sorry, dear listener, but we're talking about the big issues here. What's all that about? We don't shy away from controversy, do we? Never have, never will.
Speaking of controversy, where do you stand on bathroom attendants, like in a club? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. Well, the thing is, maybe this is something more where you live, but I've only ever seen a bathroom attendant in some really fancy places.
Right.
Like, when you say bathroom attendant, like, take me through it, because I guess I'm a bit green on this, so... Like,
well, you walk into a club's bathroom, and there's a dude wearing a vest and a bow tie, and he's got a whole bunch of deodorants, and wants to squirt the soap onto your hands.
Right. Really? He actually he gets involved.
Well, yeah, and they got collections of aftershaves. You've never seen this?
Well, I've only ever seen it once, and that was at the Versace Resort. Seriously. It's not a thing.
Northwest Prison.
No, it's... It's like taking care of yourself post-toilet is pretty much, you're on your own in this country. Yeah. Unless you're at a 6-star resort. The thing.
It's a mark of opulence, isn't it, or luxury. So what happened, at least in London, is that all the regulation clubs that I used to go to would think, oh, well, you know, what's a very easy way of, making our club look better than it actually is to stick some poor bastard in the loo.
Right, so it's not actually a place that's particularly classy, it's just a place that's trying to seem classy.
That's what really annoyed me, right? So, because if I was going into the Savoy, no problem, you kind of expect that. And also, that dude is probably getting paid, you don't have to tip him.
Yeah, oh.
But you've got some cruddy club, and they get this guy in, and obviously he's probably only getting the tips he gets given. And, of course, he's in your face because he wants to get a tip. Oh, I just find that really annoying.
Yeah, that must be a bit much. Because, like I said, the toilet times is a very private thing. You're like, you don't want anyone. You don't need a secretary for the toilet. You know what I mean?
A valet.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, it's all like.
My other problem, because of my shy bladder, right? If I walk into an empty bathroom, it's joy. Add a attendant, I'm back to the start. I can never. Never.
You know what I feel like? I feel like going to one of these clubs you're talking about in London, and going up to the valet at the end saying, "Oh, I was raised by only my mother. I did a shit in the urinal. Sorry."
Cohen. I can tell by the ambient temperature of this glass of water, which I poured cold from the tap at the start of the show, that it's time to stop this show. And how do we do that, old boy?
Well, with a showstopper, that's how.
And what does that mean to you, me, and the dear listener?
Well, it means that we sing a song about something that we've chatted about in the podcast, or if dear listener would like to get involved and maybe make a showstopper suggestion of your own, you can always get in contact with us on Twitter at podcastkak, or send us a little email, old school stuff, at podcastkak@gmail.com if you like.
That's 100% true. We're looking forward to your requests, dear listener. In the meantime, today, what are you going to do, Kerwin?
Well, I was up against it today, Kelso, because we were talking about irate delivery drivers as well as public toilets, so not a lot to work with there, but you did make a reference to some of the old school hand dryers and made that fantastic reference to Madonna turning up the spout for the air into her hair, and it's featured in the movie Desperately Seeking Susan.
Right.
Yeah, so one of the songs, I think it was in this song, in the film clip, I'm going to play it now. Are you ready?
Well, dear listener, if you can't find the film clip, we're not looking at it ourselves right now, but I'm sure we could do a bit of a googs and see if we can find it. I imagine Desperately Seeking Susan and Hairdryer.
Hairdryer, or just get into the groove, the song itself. You could always...
well, let's do that very thing right now.
Let's get into it, yeah. Get into the groove, boy. You've got to prove your love to me. Yeah. Get up on your feet. Yeah, step to the beat. Boy, what will it be? Music can be such a revelation. Dancing around, you feel the sweet sensation. We might be lovers if the rhythm's right. I hope this feeling never ends tonight. Only when I'm dancing do I feel this free. At night, I lock the doors when no one else can see. I'm tired of dancing here all by myself. Tonight I wanna dance with someone else. Get into the groove, boy, you got to prove your love to me. Yeah, get up on your feet. Yeah, step to the beat, boy, what will it be? Live out your fantasy here with me. Let the music set you free. Touch my body and move in time. Now I know you're mine. Now I know you're mine. Get into the groove, boy, you got to prove your love to me. Yeah, get up on your feet. Yeah, step to the beat, boy, what will it be? Yeah, get into the groove, boy, you got to prove your love to me. Yeah, get up on your feet. Yeah, step to the beat, boy, what will it be? Yeah, live out your fantasy here with me. Let the music set you free. Touch my body and we'll move in time. Now I know you're mine. Now I know you're mine. And now I know you're mine. And now I know you're mine.
Very nice indeed.
Thank you.
Now, how do you think you would go if you were put on the spot by a girlfriend of yours in the 80s to prove your love to her via the mode of dance?
I would probably do the old, I'll do just some finger snaps and start with a bit of that. Maybe find the nearest hand dryer put it into my face.
I did a quick Google while you were playing the song if I could find that on YouTube, but alas, I could not. So you probably just have to watch the whole Into the Groove film clip, dear listener.
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind there is thanks for your undivided attention during that song. I mean, that was really nice of you.
I was there. I was there at the time, mate.
Okay, yeah. You can multitask. I know.
Yes, a bit of a. I don't know if I'd do well if I could prove my love convincingly via a dance.
Oh, look, dear listener, I can tell you that Kelso knows how to dance. No worries there.
Now, Madonna was giving some hints there about her what relationship or what position she likes to hold in the relationship, don't you think? So, like, look, do a dance, prove that you love me, and then I'll know you're mine.
Now I know you're mine. Sorry.
Bit of a red flag on the play there, I dare say.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what you're into.
Well, it's Madonna.
Well, that's all very well, Cohen, but that does leave our dear listener with one question.
Indeed it does, Kelso.
What's all that about?
So we'll chat to you on the next episode, and don't forget you can tweet us with any of your discussion ideas or showstoppers on Podcast KAK, and also email us at podcastkak@gmail.com.
Thanks very much for listening. It really does mean a lot to us both. Do tell a friend about our show, as that's how we hope to grow our listenership, to have more dear listeners join you, dear listener. And if you have time and you're not mapping out the best places to visit public toilets in your local vicinity, give us a sweet 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice.
Till next time.
Hooroo!
See you later. Now I know you're mine.
You do.